Hi, welcome to a module overview video for the BCS Level 4 Diploma in Data Analyst Concepts. So, within the apprenticeship for the Level 4, you have two core modules. You have a Diploma in Data Analyst Concepts, which is what this video entails and what this module is going to be. And you also have a Level 4 certificate in Data Analyst Tools. Okay, so everything within this module is on a conceptual base. You don't need to know anything how to actually do it and apply it just yet, but you need to understand all the theory behind it and also how it could be applied. Okay, so this video is just to go through the module as a whole. It's going to go through a range of different things, and it's just to give you an outline of what's going to be involved within this module itself. Okay, so the video session overview, we're going to cover an overview of the course goals. We're going to look at some useful background, although this isn't needed as such. We're going to look at the course objectives and what we hope to achieve. We're going to have a quick look at the exam and what you expected to attain at the end. And we're going to have a look at the syllabus breakdown and overall assessment methods. And finally, the expectation that you should be expecting from me and also what I will be expecting from you as students. So, the course goals. This module is designed for apprentices enrolled onto the Level 4 Data Analyst Digital IT Apprenticeship to provide them with the technical knowledge and understanding they require for their role as a data analyst. Okay? So this is what BCS have highlighted that this module and this course overall should allow you to do. This role, according to BCS, can be summarised as so. I think it's quite important to discuss what BCS summarise it as, because a data analyst and a data scientist can be such a broad thing. Okay, they can do a lot of different roles, so it's a good idea at the start just to think about what BCS summarise it as, and then we can kind of see how our job roles fit into that, because you all come from different job roles. So the primary role of a data analyst is to collect, organise and study data to provide business insight. Data analysts are typically involved with managing, cleansing, abstracting and aggregating data and conducting a range of analytical studies on that data. So the data analysts themselves generally works with the data in order to provide data for business problems and business insights. They work across a variety of projects providing technical data solutions to a range of stakeholders, customers and their issues. They document and report the results of data analyst activities, making recommendations to improve business performance. They have a good understanding of data structures, database systems and procedures, and a range of analytical tools used to undertake a range of different types of analysis. So, there's so much within that statement from BCS. They're asking for, they're talking around the data analyst being someone who can communicate with stakeholders and customers. They can work with data, they have embedded backgrounds in some of the data structures and data systems. There's such a broad amount of stuff we could cover. Within this module itself and the concepts, we're going to go over the basic broad concepts. So a lot of the stuff we do, you might know some of it, you might not know some of the other bits, which is fine, it's perfectly fine at this stage. It's just to make sure that you're using the same terminology, the same broad overview of what different areas are, and then from that we can start to develop your skills with the other modules and the other different things we have to do going forward. Okay, so useful background. Within BCS they say individual employers will set the selection criteria for enrolment onto this apprenticeship, but it's likely to include 5 GCSEs, especially English, maths and science or technology subjects, a relevant level 3 apprentice, other relevant qualifications and experience, or an aptitude test which focuses on IT skills. Obviously we don't need to worry about that because we're all on the apprenticeship now. Okay. The 4 below are things that I've picked up and things that I have noticed that are good to have a useful background within, or it's good to start to learn some of these things if you don't already. Okay. So a key number 1 is having a good mathematical quantitative skill. So working with numbers, doing like basic arithmetic and using Excel to a basic level, working out how to do like basic trends or work out simple patterns. knowing what mean, mode and range and medium and all them sort of things are, okay? They're the basic good mathematical groundings that will help you a lot as you go along. Experiences with some statistical methods and software packages such as R and RStudio. So R and RStudio, R is a programming language which works directly with statistics and data, okay? So you'll all heard of Python and C++ and SQL and all them sort of things. They all do their own thing, but R itself just works with data to allow you to show different trends and patterns, okay? Again, this is useful background. You don't need to have done any of this before. It's just areas where you should probably start to consider where you should start to develop, okay? Experiences with conditioning and managing of business data, including databases such as entities, ERDs and basic modelling. So I know a few of you will have worked with some database structures, which is really good. It's understanding at this stage how they work more than being able to do them yourselves. So if you know what an entity is, it's like an object. If you know what an ERD is, an entity relationship diagram, and how basic modelling works, and how we can get different levels of that. Understanding how systems work, such as this, such as databases, allow you to design and develop a data analyst approach or a model the correct way, okay? So instead of just going in blind and not really understanding what the next stage is, just having a basic understanding of these different sections are really important. And any basic programming skills such as C++, Python, preferably any SQL and R experience, because they're the two that kind of work with data more, okay? But any programming knowledge you've got at all, thinking about different functions and classes and how they all work together and how you could lay it out within an environment is really, really handy, because it just gives you a grounding knowledge to start off with of some of the different areas. Again, if you've never touched programming at all in your life, that's still fine, but at this stage you should probably start to have a look at R programming or have a look at SQL and just start to think about, watch some videos on YouTube and start to develop your skills slightly within them areas, okay? And that'll just help you understand some of the concepts we're going to discuss a little more as we go through. So, the course objectives and what we hope to achieve. This again is from BCS, and this is what we're trying to aim to achieve within the whole module. So the module, not the course, just the module now. Apprentices should be able to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of data analysis and its underlying architecture, principles and techniques. These key areas are split up into 11 sections. The first one is explore the different types of data, including open and public data, administrative data and research data. We're going to look at that today. So in this afternoon session, or after this session, if it's on a different day, we're going to look at objective 1. Then we've got understand the data lifecycle. We've got illustrate the differences between structured and unstructured data. Understand the importance of clearly defining customer requirements for data analysis. Understand the quality issues that can arise with data and how they can be avoided or resolved. Explore the steps involved in carrying out routine data analysis tasks. Understanding the range of data protection and legal issues. Explore the fundamentals of data structures. Explore the database system design, implementation and maintenance. Understanding the organization's data architecture. And finally, understand the importance of domain context for data analytics. So there's 11 different areas there, which they all cover individual topics. However, they are quite similar. So for instance, number 3, illustrate the difference between structured and unstructured data. We're going to talk about that when we discuss objective 1, which is explore the different types of data. So even though there's a lot, it looks like there's a lot to cover, a lot of these things kind of fall into categories that we're going to break them down into when we start to do the actual module itself. So the exam, the important thing, the bit you've all been waiting for. The exam itself is 40 questions, multiple choice. This is your sole assessment method for this module. The duration is 1 hour, and an additional 15 minutes will be allowed for apprentices sitting the examination in a language which is not their native or mother tongue. The prerequisites are a training from BCS accredited training provider such as us, is strongly recommended, but this is not a prerequisite, but it's something that you should be doing, which you are doing. It's a supervised exam, so you're going to be in a room where someone's watching you, so you're not cheating basically. It's not an open book, so you won't have anything else in front of you apart from the exam itself. And the pass mark is 26 out of 40, which is 56%. Okay, so the pass rate isn't so high, so it's definitely achievable, but you still need to work at each section and make sure you're trying to hit as many of the criteria as possible, which I'm going to kind of break down for you now. You're not allowed to calculate within the examination, and the total qualification time, or the TQT, is 600 hours and 400 learning hours recommended. Okay, and the delivery for this is online. So as you know, all the sessions we're going to cover, that these videos are going to focus on, are always going to be online sessions. If it goes into a classroom and these videos are used, they'll be simply there to support some of the learning that you're going to be doing. So here's a breakdown of the exam. I think this is really important just to consider at the start, because it shows where some of the questions will be and where the focus of our learning should be throughout the module. So we've got different syllabus areas. We've got types of data, which is 10%, the data lifecycle, which is 5%, structured and unstructured data, 10%. I'm not going to read them all out. So you've got all the different types of modules. So if we go back to this one here, these are the learning outcomes. And then each one of them is set to a percentage. And then at the end of it, you've got K2 or you've got K3, okay, which we'll look at now. And then at the end, it says the number of questions that are going to be related to that topic. So for instance, types of data, number 1, it's got 4 different questions, because it's 10%, which is directly related to types of data, okay? So the exam itself is going to cover everything within the objectives, just some of the focus, such as requirements for data analysis and data analyst tasks, are going to be more influential within the exam score itself, and you're going to have more questions based upon them, okay? So you'll notice that when we talk about stuff such as the data life cycle, which is only worth 5%, but then 2 questions could be the difference between you passing and failing, we're not going to focus on that quite as much as we would focus on the requirements for data analysis, as you would expect, okay? Also, within this here, you've got a link at the bottom where you can go to, which I'll just open up for you now so you can quickly see. And this takes you to the syllabus itself. So this is kind of what I'm breaking down for you now. However, the important things are within each section here, so types of data, which we've got types of data here, it does break this down a lot more for you. So it breaks down what sort of things are within that section. So I've put here, which is explore the different types of data, including open and public source, administrative data and research data. That's your hierarchy objective. And then within that, that's again broken down into types of data, okay? So I'm not going to go through that word by word, but it's something that you should be reading for the first couple of weeks and just getting to grips of what you should be covering, okay? So here's an overview of the assessment method. As we discussed within this, you've got K2 and K3, okay? So the syllabus will provide apprentices with a level of difficulty knowledge and skills highlighted within the following table, enabling them to develop the skills to operate at levels of responsibility indicated. The levels of knowledge below will enable apprentices to develop the following levels of skill to be able to operate at the following levels of responsibility. It's quite a tongue twister. As defined within the SFIA framework, which is the BCS framework for skills and responsibilities within their workplace. Okay, so you've got your different levels here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The ones we're covering are here, so level 2 and level 3. Okay, so understand and apply. So if we break them down further, K2, which is understand, the candidate should be able to explain a topic or classify information or make comparisons. The candidate should be able to explain ideas or concepts. Typical questions would use classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, translate and paraphrase. So within this section, it's asking you to understand something, okay? So you don't need to apply it and you don't need to actually do it yourselves or evaluate it. You just need to understand and be able to explain what that topic is or what that terminology is, or what type of data this is, etc. Okay, and then the higher one, which is K3 apply, the candidate should be able to apply a topic in a practical sense. The candidate should be able to use the information in a new way. Typically, questions would use choose, demonstrate, employ, illustrate, interpret, operate, schedule, sketch, solve, use, and write. Okay. Again, within the multiple choice questions, it's not going to ask you to do some code. It's not going to ask you to make a database. It might ask you demonstrate what sort of data analytic approach would allow this to happen. Or it might be asking you to look at some of the data analyst tasks and how this could be applied to something. Okay, so you've got that balance to think about when you're going through the questions. And again, within each one of these, we've only got data analyst tasks, which are K3, data structures, which is K3, and database design, implementation, maintenance, which is K3. So that is 35% of the exam itself is K3. Okay, so that's apply. The rest of it, so the 65%, is understand the topics, which would easily allow you to pass the module. Okay, so now we've gone through a little bit about the syllabus. We're obviously not going to go through each one individually because we'll do that as we get to it, otherwise there'll just be too much information for you to take in. The final thing is the expectations from me as you as a student, and also what you should expect from me as a tutor. Okay, so it's not going to be a case of me telling you loads of different things and me expecting everything from you and me not doing the thing that I'm expected to do as well. That's not how I work. So the expectations that you should expect from me are structured sessions with a range of videos, discussions and tasks to complete during these timetable days. So obviously some of the different classes will be set up in a way that you come into college more, or we have an online session once a month or once every 2 weeks, etc. And then you'll have your own work to do around that. But when we're doing the timetable slots, you should expect structured sessions from me with a range of different videos to watch during the day, discussions to go through and just discuss some of the different topics, and tasks to complete during that timetable day. It's not always going to be a case of I'm going to be doing a Microsoft Teams chat, for instance, for 7 hours straight, because that's not engaging at all. So it's going to be like a broken down day, and you'll get an agenda each day which goes through what we're going to be doing, whether it's a 15-minute catch-up discussion or whether it's watch this video and complete this task. And then I'm also going to be available through Teams throughout that day, and I'll also be available through Teams quite a lot anyway. Okay, so obviously I won't be available 24/7, but Microsoft Teams is really good to allow me to just pop back on and answer quick questions and then go from there, and we can arrange different meetings at different times when it suits you more as well. Okay, because I understand that because it's an apprenticeship, obviously you've all got different working patterns and you've got different responsibilities. So the idea is that I can be flexible to allow you to achieve the best you can. Okay, so that's what you should expect from me. And then also you should expect me to give you some learning in between the sessions. Obviously we've only got limited sessions times together, so I'm going to be giving you different things to go and watch over the breaks in between sessions, and then different things that you can work on to further advance your skill set. So what will I expect from you from a student? So I would expect that you engage in all sessions and undertake all additional tasks in the time frame set. Obviously if you've got an issue and one of these things cannot be done for a certain reason, then just let me know and then we can work around that. The completion of a revision guide, which we're going to go through today. The revision guide will act as basically a formative assessment for me to show that you're doing the work and you're starting to understand it. It also allows me to look through your formative work and make sure that you're understanding it properly. So if I read it, for instance, and one of the sections on a couple of your revision guides is not quite there, that means that I can do some more sessions and I can focus some of the learning around that area in order to improve your skill sets. And it also will act as a revision guide for yourself. So when you come to the exam in however months it is from this point, you can go through this revision guide, you can start to look at the topics and go, alright, so from week 1 we discussed this, I need to remember these points, okay, and then you can start to revise that way. And then finally, I would expect you to undertake a range of research outside of these sessions to develop your skills. So even though we're covering a range of different BCS objectives, it's not always a bad idea to go and do a bit of research on what's happening in data analysis today, whether it's happening in Microsoft or Google. Have a look at R programming or SQL or a new skill that you're not quite familiar with. Building your skills this way should allow you, after the time period of the apprenticeship, to have a really good solid set of skills which then you can take forward into the workplace. Okay, so thank you for watching the first video. Hopefully it was useful for you. Just to note, on the end of these slides or end of these video slides, I'm going to put a list of resources in which you can begin to further research the topics discussed, so you can start to look at all these different ones. These 4 are the ones that are highlighted within the BCS syllabus, and they are just websites and different blogs which cover some of the big data analytics concepts and also more broader subjects around that area. Okay, so thank you for watching the first video on the BCS Diploma in Data Analyst Concepts.